Anyone can grow tomatoes, but sometimes trouble can befall gardeners. These common mistakes can be avoided if you know about it in advance. In this video, we will talk about the common tomato growing mistakes. It's a Sprouted Seeds YouTube channel. Subscribe and let's get started. 1. Refusal to remove suckers and form tomatoes or late removal of suckers. Tomato plants frequently produce suckers, which are small shoots that emerge from the joint where a branch meets the stem. While they do not harm the plant, they may divert energy away from fruit production. The description of each variety includes advice on how to form a bush. For example, suckers on tall indeterminate tomatoes must be removed. If you leave too many suckers, you will lose the harvest. The leaves will absorb all of the tomato's growth energy. Removing side shoots too late is also a significant issue. If you wait for the transformation of side shoots into baobabs, you will reduce the tomato's ability to form fruits. Remove suckers cups on time, or choose standard low-growing varieties that do not need to be shaped at all. 2. Planting tomatoes too early. Tomato plants will not thrive unless the soil temperature rises above 60 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. Before transplanting, young seedlings should have reached 6 to 8 inches. Planting plants too early can cause blossom drop, which is when the blossoms fall off before the fruit develops. If the nighttime temperature is too low, tomatoes may become misshapen, puckered, or scarred at the blossom end. 3. Improper bush tying. Tomato plants require support as they grow to keep their stems from breaking under the weight of the fruit. Plants that are improperly tied or do not receive any support can sprawl on the ground, making them more vulnerable to pests and diseases. To keep your tomato plants upright and healthy, use stakes, cages, or trellises. Tie the stems loosely to avoid damaging the plant. 4. Pruning and removing suckers in wet weather. Pruning and removing suckers in wet weather increases the risk of disease transmission. Moisture on the plant provides an ideal environment for pathogens to grow. It is best to perform these tasks during dry weather, when the plant can heal and the risk of disease transmission is reduced. Clean your tools before and after use to avoid spreading potential infections. 5. Removing too many leaves. Don't prune determinate varieties because it may reduce harvest. You can prune indeterminate tomatoes. It is advisable to remove the lower leaves of tomatoes that touch the ground. Some diseases spread to tomatoes through garden dirt. However, you can only do this with adult plants and only until the first bunch of fruit appears. Diseased and yellowish leaves are removed. Healthy leaves do not need to be cut. As leaf mass decreases, so does the surface area for evaporation. If you remove more than 2 or 3 leaves at once, the next watering will result in excess moisture and cracks on the fruits. These tomatoes rot quickly. If you notice white spots on tomatoes, this is a sunburn that appears due to a lack of leaves. 6. Too much fertilizer. Applying too much fertilizer, especially nitrogen, can result in lush, green foliage but few tomatoes. Excessive fertilization can create a nutrient imbalance, resulting in problems like blossom end rot. Choose a fertilizer with a good, balanced phosphorus content. 7. Too much water. Overwatering tomato plants can cause their fruit to absorb too much water too quickly, resulting in cracking. This not only changes the appearance of the tomatoes, but also increases their susceptibility to rot and pests. In general, you should water thoroughly once or twice a week. Sandy soil may only need irrigation every 4 to 5 days, whereas heavy soil can get away with every 7 to 10 days. Of course, you should consider weekly rainfall in your area. Check the soil every day by placing your finger an inch or 2 beneath the surface to ensure it is evenly moist. 8. Overheating in the greenhouse. Tomatoes love warmth, but too much heat, particularly in a greenhouse, can stress the plants and prevent fruit development. Overheating can cause blossom drop, which is when flowers fall off before setting fruit. To maintain an optimal temperature range for tomato growth, ensure proper ventilation and use shading as needed. 9. Planting tomatoes in the wrong location. Tomatoes require full sun to thrive, which means at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. Planting them in a shady location can result in spindly plants bearing few fruits. Choose a location in your garden that receives plenty of sunlight and has well-drained soil to provide the best conditions for your tomatoes. Furthermore, avoid planting tomatoes in areas where potatoes or peppers have grown in recent years. 10. Planting tomatoes too close together. Planting tomatoes too close together reduces airflow and increases the risk of disease. A humid environment is suitable for fungal and bacterial growth. In general, space to terminate tomato plants about 18 inches to 2 feet apart, leaving each row 4 feet apart. Plant indeterminate tomatoes 2 to 3 feet apart, with rows 5 to 6 feet apart. By avoiding these common mistakes, you'll be on your way to growing robust, fruitful tomato plants.